No, that's great. So I'm just here to talk today about Burlington economic development and data. I'll get right into the agenda. I'll just kind of go a little bit about what is Burlington. Welcome to Burlington, which a lot of us are probably familiar with due to our geographies in the secondary schools that we're attending. Then I'll talk about data and vision to focus and how we've been using data there in the past. I'll talk a little bit about strategy in COVID-19 and how we're using data in that regard. And then I'll have a few minutes for questions and answers. So really just looking at Burlington, Ontario, this is what I used to sell to international companies with the same slide, but as we're all attending secondary schools in the Burlington area, Burlington's a city, about 183,000 people, about 101,000 people in the workforce, about 7,000 businesses, and we're located in Halton region is all I'll say on this slide. What I really want to talk about today is how we're using data to implement vision to focus. Now, vision to focus is council's 4-year work plan on their strategic priorities to implement. So I'll just highlight on 4 different areas, 4 sample projects to use that we're using data in. Of course, there are a lot more projects than that, but I tried to kind of get a bit of a breadth of data just to kind of give you a sample of how we're using data in Burlington. Really focusing on focus area 1, how companies are pivoting using data. Focus area number 2, how we're developing transportation planning and doing planning using data. Focus area number 4, how we're doing public engagement to collect soft data. And focus area number 5, how we're improving customer service by utilizing data. So Sam had mentioned that I work with TechPlace, which helps innovative technology companies to start up, scale up, and grow. So we work with over 400 technology entrepreneurs in the Burlington community. And what I wanted to start with just is kind of the technology index and the technology companies have been hugely growing over the last year or so, as we all know. The TSX technology index has actually been up over 40% on the year. And just talking to local companies, I'm seeing major expansions in businesses such as, software as a service businesses, med tech companies, ed tech companies, communications platforms are just a couple of the companies that I named that are doing particularly well. A few of the local examples that we've kind of helped support, or I should say have worked with in terms of providing customer service and helping them to advance their business would be Cogent Power, Expertic PGS, Diamond V, and Beltec Hub. So I'll just go through these one by one. That's a picture of Cogent Power in the upper left corner there. So we basically worked with them in the early days of the COVID pandemic to help ensure that their 400 essential workers can stay active and that the electrical infrastructure in Ontario remains strong. So Cogent Power supplies parts for the electrical transformers and power supplies for medical equipment. The team has implemented a number of health and safety protocols and has been kind of a best practice leader in the Burlington area in terms of health and safety, really leveraging data, leveraging information, leveraging all the information that they've been receiving to be able to move forward. We've also welcomed the leader of Cogent Power, Ron Harper, in the past to speak to a number of our manufacturing companies, just about on tips, guidance, and the firsthand experience that he's used to really implement lean manufacturing solutions, utilizing data to implement operational efficiencies. The second company I'll just address is TechPlace Launchpad Company. They're called Expertic PGS, and they came to us from Colombia early this year. So they're an Internet of Things company, and they actually entered the Canadian market on a portable egg grading system to monitor, grade, and assess the quality of eggs, chicken eggs, for small farms. But utilizing their advice, they're actually introducing a device that's known under the business model, again, software as a service. So they're implementing a ventilator and inhalation device where they can actually measure remotely the quality and the quality of breathing of the and the vital signs of the patients that would be diagnosed with COVID-19, and this can all be done remotely using the data, using the cloud, and we've been thrilled to help them kind of in their journey to pivot their business. Diamond V is another great company that works out of TechPlace. They're called an endorsed user, so they're one of those 405 endorsed users that operate out of TechPlace, and they stood up to help Canadians and protect Canadians during the COVID-19 crisis. So they originally had invented artificial intelligence devices that actually sensed biometric heat signatures, and they use that to grant access to different spaces in buildings. So it's actually a contactless entry control that they utilized. And this company has actually repurposed their technology to provide automatic fever screening for their customers. So they're basically looking for people that are warm. So if we're above our 37 degrees Celsius, they'll flag it in terms of somebody that should be investigated in more detail. So they're again, local startup that's pivoting in line of businesses, in line with the COVID-19 pandemic. And the last company I want to touch upon is Beltec Hub. So they're originally a Latin American company, and they just helped move to Canada. They actually are launching a manufacturing platform to connect business to business customers, to connect them and utilize data to basically connect the customers and be able to offer more of a seamless customer service integration, finding supplies and finding customers. But they actually have a number of different contacts in their network and a number of distribution partners and suppliers. So through their partners, they were actually able to import medical supplies to Canada, including disposable civilian masks, K95 respirators, and face shields, just in their efforts to help with COVID-19 pandemic. So I know I'm not going into really deep data, talking about AI, talking about machine learning, talking about any of that fancy stuff, but these companies kind of, in short, they saw an opportunity utilizing data. They were able to kind of utilize their networks, utilize Burlington Economic Development, utilize TechPlace, and some of the services they provided to essentially pivot, utilizing the data and the information that was coming to them. And they've restructured their business model in line with how they can better serve customers and how they can better help with COVID-19 going forward. So that's kind of the business area that I want to touch upon. I'll just touch upon a few other areas in Burlington that we're utilizing data in a few ways as well. So I mentioned that I was with Burlington Economic Development for a number of years, and I actually wrote a report on how a number of our employment lands, so lands that we want to develop for employment purposes, cannot be utilized because there's this, actually 78% of the employment lands fall within the provincial government permit control areas to get the necessary approvals required to build upon. So basically, this was a process that was often leading to 9-month or 12 months delays for companies that were wanting to build. And with my guidance, I actually was able to make a recommendation to the mayor, the Minister of Finance of the Ontario government, and the region of Halton to engage in a block planning study. So basically, they're planning on, how will the number of new employees, how will the number of new businesses, how will that impact the development lands going forward in order to plan infrastructure and basically build things like interchanges and bridges and make sure that they're actually being built in line with the businesses, as opposed to treating every new piece, every new property that wants to be developed individually. So it's essentially looking at the system as a whole to plan what the system needs as a whole when it's fully developed versus looking at the individual properties. So that's a pilot project that's going on in Burlington to really speed up the approvals process. Another area that I want to touch upon in Burlington is public engagement. So a lot of us are familiar with hard data, working with R, working with Python, working with Excel to really program the models that we need. But I don't want to underestimate and understate the importance of soft data. So in Burlington, we're thrilled to implement a number of different data tools. We have an online engagement portal that's Get Involved Burlington, which is a one-stop shop for all projects that require public input. We've had Feed for Feedback, where we basically give people food to provide feedback. We have things like feedback frames that have anonymous voting and retro viewers to show people's different scenario planning. So just different ways of presenting the data. So what I actually find, for me, it's great to be able to look at data. It's great to be able to analyze data, but really those key insights and what it should be doing and what the strategy should be because of the data is what really matters at the end of the day, in addition to kind of being able to offer that expert level insight and analysis. And then the last area that we've implemented in Burlington Economic Development Corporation was really an open data center, focusing on delivering customer-centric services with a focus on efficiency and technology transportation. So we leverage technology to improve our customer service. What we see here is our online version of the Halton Employment Survey. So this is an interactive dashboard that we implemented using the Power BI, Microsoft Power BI software, just to really outline the data. In the screen on the right, that's our quarterly economic indicators that we update on a quarterly basis to really show how many new jobs are being created per quarter, how many new square meters of space, what the office vacancy rate. So we get all this data from third-party sources. We put it all together. Some of it is our original sources as well, I should say. And we just updated of course, these data fields using Power BI and smart dashboards. You can drill down deep and you can actually see what's going on. So if you want to know, for example, how many retail trade and the businesses that are involved in the retail trade and business in Burlington, you can click on that and it'll provide a deeper level of analysis. So I do have a few more slides, Sam. I have 3 more slides that could go about 5 more minutes if you wanted, or I can wrap it up, whatever you would prefer.
Yeah, go for it.
Great. So then I'll just finish up by talking about how we're really using data to adopt to our new strategy and adopt to the new normal and figure out what we should be doing going forward. So we have launched in Burlington, together with our Team Burlington partners, something called the Burlington Economic Recovery Network. So it's really about aligning stakeholders and business support groups to position Burlington for short and long-term recovery. So we're working with the Burlington Chamber of Commerce, ourselves, the Burlington Downtown Business Association, Tourism Burlington, and the Aldershot Business to keep our business community informed, provide support, and basically supporting long-term economic recovery. With this group and as one input, but also with some other processes, we're really looking at basically refreshing our strategy. Things are changing, everything's changing. The world that we live in today isn't the same one that we were in a year ago. And since March, when we went and entered our state of emergency, there's just been a lot of change, a lot of adoption, and a lot of pivoting that's been going on for all businesses, including the city of Burlington and Burlington Economic Development Corporation. So basically in September, we're currently working on the Burlington Economic Recovery Network sector-specific economic recovery and supplementary data gathering. I made a little chart there just upon what we're doing and what we're utilizing. So we're using the Burlington Economic Recovery Network to get really that third-party expert opinions. We've actually engaged Sheridan students to do a business recovery project as part of their capstone project to move things forward. So that's with Sheridan College. Basically, they took a look at the baseline research in Burlington, how the businesses are doing. They looked at the select sectors, so 10 sectors that represent about 85% of the businesses in Burlington. So they developed impact analyses. They developed sector-specific SWOT recommendations. So that's strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. They did additional business trends research, and they made a number of recommendations. So that's feeding into our strategy research, in addition to third-party surveys, data, and analysis from different groups like the Toronto Board of Trade, and of course, additional industry outreach through just talking with people and talking with people that work at Tech Place as well to really have a solid understanding of what's going on. In November of 2020, we'll actually be taking this information, presenting it to city staff and council in the form of workshops. We'll be putting that information together, kind of validating it through a number of different industry partners. And in February of 2021, we'll be going to my board of directors. I'll be going to my board of directors for endorsement on the revised strategy, and we'll have an updated economic vision. And then in March of 2021, we'll have an updated strategic house that's kind of our strategy on a single page, and an updated economic vision. So some of the low-hanging fruit that we've been able to implement so far in terms of COVID-19 business support and economic recovery. Today, we're launching our digital service squad. So basically, this is just, we've identified about 200 businesses in Burlington that basically mom and pop type shops that don't really have an online presence. We figure there's a large opportunity, and we're partnering with the province of Ontario and Communitech to implement what they're calling the digital service squad to really just introduce companies to websites, introduce them to online selling, and then help. There's other areas that will help them with in the future, such as future proofing, to really make sure that they have a full digital technology transformation plan. But the first starts, of course, with websites. We're also working on the Burlington Safe Restart programming, which is scheduled to launch on September 29th. Basically, based on research and based on what industry have been telling us, we're going to be providing small grants to help businesses with personal protective equipment, just things like the configuration of space, the different layouts, etc. We're also continuing to focus on the Burlington Economic Recovery Network and coordinated COVID-19 support for small businesses. And we're seeing an increased demand to come to Canada. It's actually, I know COVID-19 is a lot of impacting our world, but a lot of other countries are more impacted by COVID-19 than the Canadian marketplace. So we're seeing some increase in, and we're providing additional services on cross-border and immigration inquiries at Burlington Economic Development. So that's just a few trends that we've been seeing and a few other projects we've been implementing in the short term. And I do apologize for talking for about 15 minutes instead of 10, but I'll be happy to answer any questions that Sam, Alexander, Timur, or any of the Tech Under 20 participants might have, and then hand it off. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Mark, thank you so much. That was a phenomenal presentation. So thank you so much, and don't worry about the extra time. We're really looking forward to your stuff. Yeah. So everyone, if you can put your questions in the chat, we'd love to take a look and pass them along to Mark. But I can sort of kick off the conversation. So all of the initiatives that you sort of mentioned revolve around data, right? How has the method of how difficult was it to collect this data as soon as the pandemic started? At least, what was the story like, if I may ask?
Yeah, so excellent question. The nice thing about working with data and economic development is everything's changing day to day. So that might be viewed as a scary part for some people, but it's actually kind of exciting. We're having new survey data being released weekly, daily in some cases. We're getting different guidelines. We're reacting to different information. I've originally the Innovation Center Tech Place we closed down. Now we're in phase 2 of our reopening. So we're open to people that live there, we should say. We're not open to kind of the everyday events yet again. But we've kind of had to adapt and react to kind of the current situation. Now we're seeing an uptick in number of cases with COVID. In my opinion, we're entering phase 2. So we're seeing an increasing restrictions, et cetera. So just kind of being in line with the business community, being in line with the information, putting the information in front of them. A part of the Burlington Economic Recovery Network was putting the information in front of them. And what we actually did was we organized a number of seminars, what we called Ask an Expert webinars, right in the early days of COVID, with groups like from McMaster University, from Mohawk College, et cetera, to just really have them explain firsthand what some of these impacts mean and what some of they mean. We also had groups like, Joseph Brand Hospital on the line, the Halton Region Chief Health Officer, I believe is the name, and just to provide the guidance firsthand. So a lot of times we didn't even have time to process the information, process the data. We're more of we received it, we determined what was of value, and we provided that to the business community, and we arranged events where the business community could hear firsthand from the people that have the most expertise in those areas.
Whoops.
So I see some questions here. May I just tackle some of them, Sam? So how do you give smaller businesses a bigger online presence? So that's an excellent question. So there's a tool called the Digital Main Street Programming. So a lot of other cities, Oakville, for example, has been implementing digital Main Street programming. And we're in Burlington, we're just about to start. As of today, we'll be implementing it. So basically it's basically working with them to provide guidance and coaching as to how they might be able to create a website. We don't actually create the website themselves, but they'd actually be eligible then for a $2,500 grant from the province of Ontario to go about starting to create a website. So there's a number of students that are involved in creating websites, and it's basically first starting with the website, because that's necessary for all online presence, but then kind of as they grow and as they move forward, things like search engine optimization, Google AdWords, et cetera, would be kind of the tools that we would put in front of them for their consideration if it's in the strategy that they want. But it's really kind of providing the guidance and coaching for them to create their digital strategy, how they think is best for their business. Alexander, I see you very specific, but how do you see tools such as Power BI in working with data? So Power BI is a little bit of a fun tool. I see that Power BI, again, any dashboard is very useful. So what I find is that, digging in really deep for data, and I would say that I was I'm very good in Excel, but I don't have a deep knowledge in terms of like programming in Python and R and those languages. In terms of Power BI specifically, I find the structure that you have to enter the information in a little bit weird. I find that Power BI is a little bit finicky in terms of actually utilizing it, but the real value in Power BI is communicating data that people can understand. So there's a number of platforms, a number of dashboards that are kind of smart platforms, being able to visualize the data, being able to visualize the data in user-friendly, easy to weigh form that the customers can understand is the real value of using Power BI and dashboards. In terms of using it for kind of your analysis, I personally feel as though I'm more powerful with a spreadsheet to get the key insights that I want. But in terms of data that I want to put in front of people, I think Power BI is a great way to be like, this is information that is easy to consume, as opposed to saying, here's a spreadsheet, go. So the executives that we deal with and the CEOs and the decision makers of companies, much like the interactive data and the data that they can gain the insights from in 2 minutes, more than half an hour of actually manipulating data if they would have that skill set. I see icing at wall, branching off from the first question. When you analyze data, what are some of the things you look for? I mean, basically, I'm a big fan of creating trends, using pivot tables to look for different trends in Excel, looking for the outliers, looking for any data that should be cleaned up. We often receive data sets in that are fairly raw. So, some of the interesting things I've come across was companies that claim they established themselves maybe in the year 120, which obviously there's not companies in Burlington that are 1900 years old. companies that say they're exporting. So really just going through the data, clarifying the data, and be able to look for the trends in the data are the bigger things that that I look for, making sure the data is correct and accurate. There are a number of characteristics of good data, which I'm not going to touch upon, but things like the transparency of the data, the reliability of the data, the timeliness of the data. There are a number of different areas. I think there's 5 areas that represent good data that I'd encourage you guys to look into, but those 5 things would be pretty true, and making sure the data is accurate and timely. What I actually find is that there's actually a fairly big trade-off between the accuracy of the data and the timeliness of the data. So that one of the best data sources we have for analyzing the Burlington economy is the 2016 census. Then, in 2021, there will be another census that'll be released in 2022. That's the best data source, the most comprehensive, reaches out to a large portion of the Burlington population, and it's a fairly representative sample of the data moving forward and the data on the Burlington economy. But that data is only available once every 5 years, so we need to use data that we have on hand to draw conclusions and draw trend analysis to adjust our strategies and pivot as we use forward. What are the top 3 most useful tools, technologies for collecting and analyzing data? I'll speak from my personal experience. I really just like the good old tried and true things. I'm in my early 30s. I haven't had the same exposure to some of the modern tools that exist today. But I'll actually say that, just utilizing Excel. I think Excel is an extremely powerful tool. That's my kind of tried and true tested tool for analyzing data. I see huge value in, when you're looking at AI, machine learning. I see value in things like R and Python. I personally don't know, and I don't have the technical expertise and the depth to understand those. But for those of you that are learning, I think there's fantastic career opportunities in terms of being able to move those forward. And I see huge opportunities in those moving forward.
Can I add on to that real quick?
Of course.
Yeah, so we will actually be helping you guys understand the building blocks of Python and some of the Excel pivot tables you mentioned. We will be helping you guys understand and tackle those fairly large concepts. So yeah, we will be getting into it. Mark, for time's sake, we can take one more question. So whichever, yeah, go for it.
Okay, I like this one. How big of a role do you think data analysts and scientists have going forward? So one of our companies at TechPlace, they were in our Launchpad program, and we helped them grow and provided a bunch of wraparound services. It's called Turing Labs. And they actually worked with a number of Fortune 500 companies, so the big companies and consumer packaged good companies. And what they've actually done is they took the focus group testing time frame. So it used to take about 2 years for some of these companies to develop a new product or new technology, just in terms of a new specification for, say, a laundry detergent. What they've actually done is they've actually were able to shorten this time frame from about 2 years down to about 6 months, down to about 6 weeks using machine learning. So they look for the variables that that can control, and they actually can plug it into their program using their algorithm to see what is moving forward. So to optimize the ingredients and to optimize the outcomes and to optimize the paths and the product specifications for it to be utilizing. So companies like that give me huge hope for data analysis and data scientists going forward. I think in terms of AI, in terms of utilizing data, I see huge opportunity, I see huge potential, and I see an increased role. The Internet of Things and the software as a service, it all relies on data in the back end to be able to move forward, and being able to be good in those fields will definitely be, in my opinion, very good career paths to get into. So data is important, and I encourage you all to consider data at least as part of your career path. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to share them on Discord. We will always try to get in touch with Mark. Is it okay if we get in touch with you sometime and possibly answer some of these questions?
No, Sam, I'd love that. And I actually took a screenshot while I was presenting. Is it okay if I post that on Twitter as well?
100%.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I might step away for now, but it's been a pleasure to share something with you that I'm very passionate about. And thank you.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Awesome. So that was Mark Steffler, guys. He once again established TechPlace. Awesome. So I'm going to go on and share my screen once again. Give me a second. Alrighty. Can you guys see my screen? Yep, awesome.
Yep.
Alrighty. So moving on, we understand that that might have been a little bit, a lot of information to process. Please do take a 30-second stretch break. We will get back to it as soon as possible. Awesome. Good stretching, guys. Awesome. Alrighty, let's get to it. Nice job, Xander. Awesome. So hope that was a bit of a good break. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about Tech Under 20. And pretty much, Tech Under 20 was founded to better serve our high school community by acting as a connection between high school students and their industries. We wanted to address the need to help students develop transferable industry-level skills between tech, business, and entrepreneurship. A fusion of these skills would provide an edge to students when they're looking for jobs relevant to their interests, at the time of their graduation, when they graduate university, or even when they're in high school. These skills in these three areas are very, very important. So we wanted to help address that. So we've evolved since then to focus on that core mission of focusing on tech, business, and entrepreneurship to be more inclusive and promote initiatives within several different areas, spanning from seasonal events that we have. You guys might have attended the Tech Under 20 Expo. That was last weekend. And another example would be our in-school chapters. So this is a virtual chapter. This is our first time we're doing something virtual. But this is one of the examples that we're trying to address that issue or that need of tech, business, and entrepreneurship. We also work closely with Silicon Halton, which is a parent organization of us, and the community to actually help contribute, and essentially contribute to the growing tech and business landscape.
All right, so I will introduce something called the Tech Under 20 ARC. Welcome to the Tech Under 20 ARC. All of our initiatives and events fall under 3 pillars within our ARC: exploration, education, and implementation. For exploration, we provide events like Tech Under 20 Expo, virtual tech conference we host every year, providing industry insights and networking opportunities, and things like University Guidance, which is a workshop we host to help others in the community find out more about their dream university program. The education side focuses on technical skills and knowledge with initiatives like Top Young Professionals, where we interview individuals in the industry, and Tech Under 20 Ventures, which is what we're here to present. And as you can tell, the education is real. That was a great presentation. For implementation, we focus on the actual doing. So we host events like Tech Under 20 Cup, where students present a product idea to solve a problem based on a theme, along with initiatives like fellowships, which provide funds for cool projects that need them, which we can then present at the next Tech Under 20 Expo. So you see how it goes it goes back into a circle.
Exactly. So that's pretty much what Tech Under 20 is all about. And Tech Under 20 Chapters is one of those initiatives, which this year is called Tech Under 20 Ventures. Awesome. So now we're going to go into Dennis's keynote. Just a quick introduction of Dennis. Dennis was actually one of the founding members of Tech Under 20. He's currently an advisor to Tech Under 20 and has actually contributed quite significantly to the preparation and creation of Tech Under 20 Ventures. He was part of Tech Under 20 since high school, and he made countless contributions to the organization. He went to UFT for computer science, and he graduated just last year. And he's currently working at RBC as a cloud engineer. So Dennis, we'd love to hear from you now.
Hey, Sam, and thank you, Timur, for the introduction, and hope everybody is enjoying their time at this kickoff. Sam, do you mind if I share my screen?
Yeah, for sure. I'll stop sharing. Go for it.
Okay. Make sure this works. Okay. Everybody see my slides?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, everyone. So thanks for joining. So Mark gave us some great deep dives into how data is being used by the city of Burlington. I'm going to talk a little bit more about macro trends, macro being larger picture things and how they connect to data and entrepreneurship, COVID, and small businesses. So let's start off with a joke. So this is a common meme that you might have seen on LinkedIn or other social media places. And basically the idea is that there's this term in big businesses called digital transformation. How do you become more adept for a changing world? And for us as young people, we look at it and say, doesn't everybody have a phone and know how to use social media and program and all these things, right? But for large established companies, they need a reason to change, right? So COVID was that reason. And we can see this graph from a McKinsey study actually that talks about e-commerce usage, right? So I use Amazon fairly frequently, but before COVID, we were actually at around a 15% e-commerce rate in the US. And if you look at the graph, within 3 months, we more than doubled the usage, so 10 years worth of growth, right? Because companies said, we can't survive unless we're shipping products through the internet, right? So you can think about the 10-year change that happened in 3 months. So that joke does have some merit. And then when we talk about actually companies doing well, the top companies are actually growing very quickly. So if you've been keeping up with the stock market, right, you've seen big companies like Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, Tesla, right? They've just been skyrocketing up. And if you look at the analysis, is that the bottom companies, the companies who haven't been able to adapt or don't have a strong usage of technology and data, they're actually seeing that their profits are falling, right? They're losing more and more money, and sort of the discrepancy is widening. And it's similar in the world as well, right? Within countries and even individual people. So we see that the stock market has rebounded, but jobs aren't back. We see housing prices have gone up, but people can't necessarily pay their rent. So these big shock factors, especially COVID, have drastically increased the inequality and within our society. And some of that, the companies, for example, had control over. Like if you've been procrastinating on implementing a good social media strategy, like that's a company's fault, right? But for individuals who, for example, work in the service industry or the restaurant industry or industries affected, right? You can't foresee this happening. So we really need to understand what are the factors that cause the impact from COVID. So this study is actually really cool. This white paper that McKinsey put together, it sources some cool data. I'll link it afterwards. It's a good read. But going forward, we actually want to talk about some local things that are happening. So this is from a local restaurant, a local being in Canada. So this is in Vancouver. So they talk about how the restaurant industry has been so heavily hit. So before, dining services accounted for 90% of a restaurant's revenue, right? And now it's 80% from delivery. So almost a complete 180 of what we saw before, right? And if you think about that impact on business, right? You look at employees, how do you retrain them, right? If somebody is working as a waiter or waitress, right? Their skill set is very different than somebody delivering the food or cooking the food. So how do you retrain people? How do you change advertising channels? How do you actually go through the technology? So very, very important to recognize the difference for some of those industries. And throughout Tech Under 20 Ventures, you'll actually be going through and analyzing some of those trends. The other thing is that we need to consider is what happens when companies need to digitally transform, right? So it's one thing to say, yes, you need to update your website, or yes, you need to go through these food apps, but sometimes it can have a devastating impact on your business. So the restaurant industry is known for being very low margin, right? By the time you factor in rent, food prices, staffing costs, etc., right? You're making very, very little money per food item. It's usually on the drinks that companies actually make money. And when all these companies come up like Foodora or Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes, right? Companies actually lose money per order sometimes, but they need that cash flow to stay alive. So it's actually a very big impact if you call a company, ironically, or go to their website and buy through there, as opposed to going through an app. That's actually more helpful. But as a user and as a user experience, it's worse, right? especially when you consider all those deals that they give to you. So it becomes a question of, I want to support local businesses, but if I go through apps, they actually lose money. So this is something we also need to think about, and this is relevant in a lot of industries. So when companies aren't prepared for digital transformation, it's not just like, oh, suddenly we put up a website and things work. It can be a lot of pain to actually adapt to that. So this quote actually came from one of the vice presidents of Restaurants Canada, which is a nonprofit. So you can look more about these issues later. So this is a cool graphic from the World Economic Forum. So it talks about how much data is being created, right? So we talk about restaurants, we talk about all these industries. Now let's shift to the data side. So we're creating so much data right now that it is just unmatched. If you look at the bottom side, you could talk about the amount of data in the world. So in 2013, through all of history, we had 4.4 zettabytes of data, right? So a lot of data, like more than you can even imagine. And by 2020, we're at 44, right? So 10x increase from 2013 and all of history in 7 years, right? That's amazing, right? We're generating so much data. So that poses a question of, how do you analyze? Have all this data, how do you find the right insights? So whoever asked the question about finding the right insights and knowing what to look for in data, that's a very relevant question. And that's why data science is actually a very well-paid profession, because extracting that insight takes a lot of skill. So this again is from the World Economic Forum. It's a great graphic. You can take a look at it afterwards. Now we go back. We have all this data. We know what's happening in restaurants in the industry. So what happens next? So right now we're currently in a second wave of COVID. If you've been keeping up with the numbers, and it was a little bit expected, right? You had people go back to work, back to school. It's back to flu season. So we're going through this question of, are we going to allow restaurants and companies to stay open? Or are we going to shift back to sort of a lockdown situation? And it's a very tough question for companies and governments, because if restaurants don't get patrons to go back, right, they might just shut down, right? So half of Canadian restaurants might close permanently within months. And we think about our favorite places to go and eat, hang out with our friends, even physical stores, right? If they don't have money, they won't survive. And we come up with this question of, if I'm a good cook, but I'm not a very good businessman or businesswoman, how am I supposed to survive in such a sort of competitive landscape, right? How am I supposed to survive versus McDonald's, where you can just go on your phone, right, and just order something? So it becomes a very big question of, how do we help those businesses? And that's really why we also wanted Mark to come in and talk a little bit about what's happening in Burlington, because he can share some of those details and those programs of how we actually make a difference. So the situation, you can think sometimes, is quite dire, right? We need to know what's happening in our world. We know there's a lot of data. We know that a lot of businesses are struggling. So what actually happens next? This is why Tech Under 20 Ventures exists, right? So this quote is, I think, really powerful. The true entrepreneur is a doer, not a dreamer, right? So we think about entrepreneurs as people with big goals and dreams and whatnot, but we don't hear about those people who are working constantly in the background, right? Those who are helping their customers out, discovering new ways to innovate. Those are the people who are true entrepreneurs and who make a difference in our world. And that's what we're trying to help you with, right? So entrepreneurship might not be for everyone, but the skills of an entrepreneur are so essential, right? The ability to innovate, spot a problem, and actually implement a solution, that's a very valuable skill, no matter what career path you'll take. So this is what Tech Under 20 Ventures is about. We want to simulate the life of an entrepreneur to help you build those skills. We're going to have some great speakers come in and share with you. You're going to present your solutions to judges. And at the end of the day, we hope this is an amazing program to really help you grow and hopefully save some Canadian businesses. So thanks, everyone. And if you have any questions, we can field them now.
Thank you, Dennis. That was a phenomenal presentation as well. Yeah, I just didn't know the magnitude of how much data we produced was that large. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for data science and its growth in the near future, especially. We got our first question from Icing Atwell. So let's see here. He basically says, I know many people when it comes to the restaurant business. Let me know if anyone needs anything. I'm a partner in a business as well, so I can definitely understand the concepts that are being discussed. Thank you, Icing Atwell. That's definitely very helpful and kind of you. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And we're definitely looking to connect with the community and any leaders. All right. As always, we'll have plenty of time to answer questions. I'm in the Discord channel. You can message me there as well to go through more details, and we will definitely be bringing in more speakers. So I think we can hand it back to Sam to actually go through what the different challenges are.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm just gonna reshare my screen once again. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, you can see slides?
Yeah, the tabs too. Just go full screen on the slide and you should be fine.
Got it. Good now?
Yep.
Awesome. So I'm just going to skip ahead to awesome. So we're gonna have another stretch break. So take 30 seconds, just stretch your feet, take a stand. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of you guys have like online school, a lot of online things. So you guys are probably sitting in for most of the day. So yeah, so we're just trying to accommodate for everybody. Alrighty, let's get to it. So the next thing we're going to talk about is what is a fanfare? What is the hype? What is Tech Under 20 Ventures all about? So we're covering the structure, the logistics, and how Tech Under 20 chapters are going to be running. So Tech Under 20 Ventures, I'm sure you might have heard by now, is essentially a program that runs throughout the year that will help you guys as chapter members to experience and discover what the journey of an entrepreneur is like. So during the year, we've segmented the year, into 7 different cases, and each case has its own unique theme. At the beginning of the case, we're going to have a keynote speaker to kick off the case, and then you're going to be learning from workshop leaders and whatever material that we provide you during the case to essentially develop a solution that you will present at the very end. And at the very end, when you're presenting your solution, you're going to be interacting with other groups. You're going to be judged by domain experts that will be invited and provide some feedback on your solutions. Within each case, there is a problem solving and solution development component. So there is quite a few challenging activities, but we will help you put your skills to the test and experience the significance of each skill and its application. So as you guys can see on the right, some of the workshop logistics that we have. So today is the introduction and our first keynote presentation that Dennis and Mark pretty much rocked. So the keynote essentially kicked off the importance and the significance of data. So we're going to be going into the workshops pretty soon. Our first workshop is going to be on this Thursday, September 24th, from 6 to 7:15 in the evening. So once again, our first workshop is this Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. In the evening. All future workshops after Thursday are going to be on Tuesdays at the same time as this event. So from 5:30 to 6:30, and they'll be running for 1 hour. The workshops are also going to be on Zoom each week, and the link is going to be exactly the same. We will post the link in advance, both on Discord and perhaps even on email for the first little while. But we will keep you aware of any updates that are happening with regards to Tech Under 20 Ventures.
All right, I will kick off the timeline and content of each case, we are calling it. So from week 1 to week 4, we have case 1, which is essentially understanding the business landscape with COVID. You will gather data and compare it with gather government data and compare it with more recent data based on your own research, present your findings. We will go through websites and Python, and it'll be a fun time. For case 2, we will hone in more on the restaurant industry and help them figure out how to move forward. We will be working with data sets. We're doing some basic data analysis. And for case 3, we are going to focus on a little bit of market research, basically reaching out to your local businesses, figuring out what's wrong, figuring out how their business works, and what the situation is like right now, and how you can change it. And finally, week 4 is when you start prototyping. You start building a product, UI, UX design, and pitching will be covered in case 4, so you know how to properly present your ideas.
Yep, and to continue off of that, for case 5, we're going to be exploring exploring how to navigate the challenges of teamwork. Leadership being one of the most critical traits of any entrepreneur. We want to teach you guys how to resolve team conflicts, establish meaningful relationships, and how to manage your team. So that's going to be happening. We also have a fun activity during case 5. For case 6, we're going to be teaching you how to implement your project. To essentially go from a prototype to a minimum viable product, so MVP, which is a common term thrown around. So we're going to teach you how to receive feedback on your solution and pretty much grow your product in a way that meets and addresses the specific need that your consumer has. We want your consumers to enjoy your product and love your product, and we want you guys to create a successful product. And for case 7, we will teach you how to approach a venture capitalist firm for funding. And this will, for those of you that don't know what a venture capitalist is, it's pretty much a large group of people, partners, typically called, that help. They essentially buy a piece of ownership of your company, and they provide strategic partnerships to your company to help you grow and grow your venture into a business. So in that case, also, we're going to teach you how to make money, which is the most important thing of any business to be profitable. And we're going to help you convince others to see the potential of your idea and explain and persuade to others why your team is the best team to tackle that specific problem.
All right, and here I'm going to be talking about a little bit about the first case, the ones that's starting on Thursday. COVID businesses once again. Just on the technical side, we will learn about HTML, the skeleton of all websites. We will learn how to use Python to scrape HTML off of the web. You will then collect businesses' data from the government and compare it with your own research, and basically present your findings and insights that you could find with the data. The best part is there is no previous coding knowledge needed. We took that into account seriously. Essentially, it's all pretty much high level. Nothing should be too intimidating, and I will be there to support you throughout the entire deal. I personally curated and developed the workshops with this in mind. So it's meant to be very, very beginner friendly.
Exactly. So we want to take the intimidation out of some of these complicated topics and democratize them and make them accessible to whomever is interested. So essentially, who is involved and how is TU20 Ventures all going to come together? So you, as chapter members, are actually at the forefront and at the center of our goal. So we, like Timur, myself, or even Dennis, or even the other chapter directors, are TU20 corporate. We will be taking care of all the TU20 venture activities, any weekly workshop engagements that we will have. We'll be inviting speakers and workshop leaders during the year, and we'll be also recommending chapter leaders on how their in-chapter meeting should look like in between of these workshops. And along that time, we're going to have external people such as the workshop leaders invited to present their story and demonstrate the application of that underlying skill we're trying to teach during each case. And as well, we're going to bring domain experts as judges to essentially extend the members' understanding of that specific skill and to provide feedback on their solution. Now, chapter leaders are very critical to our operation simply because they will be taking care of a lot of logistics in terms of handling in terms of reminding chapter members of when an upcoming workshop is, and taking care of the meetings that are outside of the workshop. So during the week, your chapter is going to decide on a meeting time to essentially cover any supplementary material or use that time towards building any solutions. Now, to repeat that once again, during the overall case of the structure is broken down into three parts. The first part is you're gonna have a keynote speaker that's going to kick off the start of each new case. Is going to take place at the start of each case and is possibly going to be a domain expert. Could be from the government, could be from an industry leader, but it's going to be a domain expert. And during the case, you're going to be having your weekly workshops that take place on Tuesdays from 5:30 to 6:30 each evening. And you're going to be learning from other domain speakers who are going to share their story, share their journey about their career, and possibly even share specific learning material on skills that we're learning at that point in time. And the most important piece that you're going to take away during the second part of the case is you're going to be developing your solution. Now, for the final part of the case, you're going to be presenting that solution you developed, and it's going to be judged by either government or industry leaders. So it's going to start with a keynote. You're going to have weekly workshops plus your in-chapter meetings, and at the same time, you're going to be presenting your solution. You're going to get judged at the very end of the case. So there's two meetings that you will attend, as I explained earlier. The first meeting is your weekly workshops that will be on Zoom. They'll take place each Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:30 in the evening. The Zoom meetings are, as you can see, they're with all Tech Under 20 chapter members. Most of the learning will take place during the weekly workshops, and this is the time that you'll have towards, meeting with speakers or even being judged for your solutions. As I said, it's going to be on Zoom. And the second meeting that you're going to have during the week are your in-chapter meetings, which are going to take place on Discord. Your in-chapter meetings are specific to your school, which is, and the time and date that those meetings are going to be on will be decided by your school chapter leader. And it's only going to be with your school Tech Under 20 members. For example, if you are in Garth Web, you're going to go to the Garth Web chapter meeting, and only the Garth Web students are going to be within that Tech Under 20 meeting. During this time, you're going to be solving challenges from the workshops that we provide, and you're going to be using time to craft out your solution. And one thing that we really wanted to emphasize is how accessible that this program is to everybody. And the cost to you guys is absolutely nothing. The program is totally free. All it is an investment of your time, and the more that you put in towards building your solution and crafting a really good project, the better the learning outcome, the higher return on your investment, and the more valuable it is to you as you grow older. You can find more information about the program both on the curriculum overview document as well as a student one-pager. As I said, we will be sharing these documents in a follow-up email after the workshop. So we will post those links on that email. And some of the tasks that you need to complete by Thursday, we'll be including this on the follow-up email that we will have. But if you want to take a screenshot, perhaps even just take a picture. The first thing you need to do is, if you just joined the Zoom call, you need to register yourself for the program if you haven't done so already. The link for that will be sent in the email, but it can be found both on Tech Under 20 servers or even on the invitation that we sent out. The chapter leaders will have access to the registration form, so you can also ask them. The second thing is you need to join our Tech Under 20 Discord server. This is probably really important simply because we're going to be having a lot of information on the community opportunities that are available to you guys beyond Tech Under 20. So we have a lot of external partners that come in, they market their opportunities, whether it's in tech, marketing, business, whatever. There are a lot of community opportunities that are posted there. You get to meet a lot of people, whether it's like-minded students. There's a lot of discussions that take place. So it's a really great area to network with people virtually. So I will say that Tech Under 20 has been a little bit ahead of its time to have a very good and well-established online presence. You'll also be able to see Tech Under 20 news, but the most important reason why you should join the Tech Under 20 Discord server is because that is where we will be having, or you will be having, your weekly chapter meetings. So the weekly chapter meetings are on Discord, and to get access to all the other benefits of joining Tech Under 20, you need to enroll yourself within the Discord server. Again, the link is going to be provided to you soon, but just keep that in mind and do it as soon as possible. Again, all future meetings are going to be using the same Zoom link. What I would ask though is if you could change the nickname or the name that appears on Zoom to your full name, plus in brackets the city or town where your school is. So at least we can interact with people. We can see where everybody's from, and we can network with each other. And before we almost end up, I would like to share the Challenge 1 video, because this is the kickoff meeting for Challenge 1, or Case 1, sorry. So here we go. This was put together by one of our freelancers within Tech Under 20, and I think it was a very impressive video. So take a look. Sorry, Xander? Okay.
It's just loud. I was saying
Oh,
turn.
it's loud? Okay. Awesome. Without further ado, do you guys have any other questions that you would like to ask us? We did go a little bit over time, but we would like to take about 15, 20 minutes just to answer all of your questions. Any questions about the program, what Tech Under 20 is about, please feel free to ask them, whether it's on the chat or now. Now is probably a good time. Just unmute yourself and ask. Okay, so good question, Lawrence. Lawrence's question was, where should we find more information on the school chapter meetings? We will actually go over. Actually, Dennis, do you have the question answer to that, or even like Caleb, Ohm, or someone else?
So you'll be, when you join the Discord, you'll have your different chapter channels. So they're the chapter leaders. Sam, if you want to go back to everybody's face, just so people can recognize people's faces and names. So they're the chapter leaders for your school. If you don't see a school chapter that you would belong to in terms of like the school you go to, we're going to have a virtual chapter that we'll be announcing shortly about that. So you'll still be going to a weekly meeting just with another school set.
Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions? Feel free to use the text channel within Zoom.
Someone said, where should we find more info on school chapter meetings?
Yeah, we just answered that one.
Oh. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry.
No worries. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's actually a really good question. So the link to the case schedule, so that is available on the one pager, the one pager. So we will send that to your email. I will post that as soon as possible on the Discord after the workshop is over. Thanks for letting me know. No other questions?
Wait, I just wanted to say that Ion goes to Iroquois Ridge.
Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry, Jan. I will change that up. Alrighty. So if there's no other questions, I think we're gonna wrap it up then. It was honestly really fun to come and present our first introduction meeting and essentially kick off our first workshop. Once again, thank you to Dennis and Mark for going through that phenomenal keynotes. If you guys don't have any other questions, I will be lingering around for a little bit more time if you have any questions that are a little more personal. But otherwise, just a reminder that to sign up on Discord to register for the program if you haven't done so already, and to what was the third one? Yeah, register for program, and then attend the workshop on Thursday, which is from 6 to 7:15. It's the same Zoom link. We will share this again in your email. So we hope you had a good time and hope to see you guys on Thursday. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
No worries. See ya.
Thanks, Sam, Timur, and Dennis.
Thank you guys. This is
Pretty
great.
fire.
Of course. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Good job.
No worries. It was a collective effort. So, I definitely think that it wasn't just one person or a group. It was all of us, right from Dennis all the way to Xander to Caleb and Om. Everybody was equally involved and equally dedicated to the cause. So, yeah, thank you guys so much. And I'm really looking forward to our chapter leaders taking a greater role in this. I definitely think it will be a really good experience for them. Awesome. So I see that we mostly have chapter leaders. Do you guys have any specific chapter related questions about ventures or anything before we end it today? No?
I had a question. Could you hear me?
Yeah, go for it, Pranav.
All right. Okay. So I had a chapter member come up to me and ask if Tech Under 20 gives volunteering hours. Do they give volunteering hours? I'm not sure.
We did for events in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, but not.
And does anyone know if that applies to IB?
Oh, dude. Oh, man. Oh, everything. Yeah, the cast hours stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I basically all I needed to. I just needed to say to.
Hang on, Timur.
Yeah.
We're recording this.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess okay. I should be less energetic or something. But essentially, you just mark down a couple of the meetings in the reflections. I maybe marked down 20% of my meetings, and I already had all of the hours needed. So you should be fine.
Oh wow. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice one, Yazan.
I mean,